Sheku Bayo, Sean Riggs, Mark Duggan. If those names don't mean anything to you, so we're going to draw you back to the 25th of May when a footage sort of changed how we see race all over the world, where we saw a Minneapolis white police officer kneeling on George Floyd for approximately 9 minutes and murdered him. So today we've got Rebecca, who seems to be opening new people on
Another
trashing.
virgin, yeah.
Another virgin. Rebecca, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And our lovely Jude, as
Yeah.
per usual, welcome back. And my lovely Celia,
Hey.
in all glory. For some reason, we're all morphing into blue and red today.
I know.
For the past 2 weeks, right from America to the United Kingdom, all the way all over the world, Black Lives Matter. And that's the slogan we've been hearing. And I know a lot of people will come back and say, well, all life matters. Today, we're not talking about that. We're talking about we're talking about Black Lives Matters. As a Black man, as a Black woman, and as a as a white woman, you would have some form of interaction with every race. So no race stands on its own. But for some reason, it's as if Black people can't catch a hand. It's either we're being stopped in traffic, or we're being profiled as people that cannot afford to buy anything in the shop, or our boys are being arrested for no just reason, or being killed off, as we've seen in the incidents that have happened recently and with the names I've called. So I'm going to go to you, Jude, being that a Black man has just been killed. Protests are erupting. People are fighting, calling for justice, like something that we should have had 300 years ago. What is your take on this?
It calls for sober reflection. When this one happened, I just thought it was one too many, and I thought, okay, there we go again. But there was something different about this one. I still haven't watched the complete video yet, so it took me a couple of days or more than a week to really then realize that it lasted for 8:46. And if you can see what I'm wearing, I said ROIP 8:46.
Wow, okay.
And that the white police officer knelt on his neck, and it was so shocking that's why I was shaking. I didn't want to watch it, and I felt so bad. Every other time, it just disturbed my mental state of mind. But this was different because of one thing that the gentleman did. He cried out for mama.
Mm.
And I know how I'm very close to my own mother. I lost my mother about 3 years ago. My life just completely changed. So I thought for that big man to have cried out for mom, this is different. Something has definitely got to happen. In my anger and in my own way to deal with things, and like you rightly said, my wife is European, so she's white, and I've got children who society calls Black. Though we have conversations all the time. I try to ask them, how do you see yourself? And my boy, who's 5 years old, say, one time he was white and the other time he's brown, and I'm Black. So you can see these conversations at home are very difficult to have. But I flew off the angle. I was really angry, and I said, it is time that we really start burning things down as Black people. The end of being docile is time past. We shouldn't accept this. So I was really angry. I said that things need to change. Few people around me said, it's just going to end up the same. I said, no, there's something in my spirit telling me it's the time. This has got to stop because we leave our houses on a daily as a Black man. Look at me, I've got beard and locks, and I can't start to tell you questions I get asked just from my house to the train station, about 2 minutes walk. People approach me as early as 8 in the morning. Do you smoke weed? Do you sell weed? Do you have weed?
Wow.
And when I say I don't even smoke cigarette, they look at me so strange, like, what? You don't even smoke cigarette? And one lady one time, she went on for more than a minute. I later started thinking maybe she was undercover police. She was like, you don't smoke weed? You sure you don't know who sell weed? I'm like, I'm not an angry person. I was just like, can you just please leave? I don't smoke weed. I don't sell weed. So imagine that, leaving my house, there's already a mark on our back as Black people. And I've got children. I've got 2 boys. We've got issues with stabbings going on in London around young adults. And we've got this as an added stress. So it's really stressful. And it's really stressful time being a Black person. And it was only just yesterday that I started discussing with a few friends who said, we need to seek mental health support because I don't think I'm dealing with it all right.
Okay. Now, Celia, let me shift gear to you as a Black woman, because I don't usually use a woman of color. You are a Black woman. you're raising a black son, you're married to a black man. So there's like a triple layer for you.
Mm-hmm.
How you raise it? How does this sit with you? Because I can
Well,
imagine.
yeah, we're fortunate to be all black in this side, okay? So yeah, it's not easy. I mean, I was just listening to what Jude was saying, and I haven't even watched the video. Okay, I'm a very inquisitive person, and I want to watch everything and anything out there, you know, because I want to know, I want to see. But with this particular video, I couldn't watch it. Even when my husband tries to play it, I'm like, no, I don't want to watch it. I've seen maybe like a few seconds of it, but I can't watch it because for me, it's really going to affect me. And Jude said something that I don't think I ever really knew it was affecting my mental health. Okay, because when I see videos like that, it really worries me, it bothers me. And for at least a few hours or even a day or two, I'm carrying what I've seen in my head. And it's messing up, it's fingering with my brain, okay, to put it very politely. So as a mother of a black son, I'm very worried, okay? Thank God, first of all, this is the UK. Things are not as bad as it is in America. However, racial profiling is still going on in the UK as well. Look at Matt Duggan, for example. So for me, my son is a very good boy. Do you understand? My son is the kind of boy that, mommy, no, I'm not, even though someone hits him, no, mommy, I'm not going to hit him back because it's going to hurt him. And I'm like, well, he's hurt you, so defend yourself. And he goes, no, mommy, he's going to cry. He's not going to like it. That's the kind of son I'm raising up. So now, he's not ready for the world out there. I'm sorry, but the world out there is not, my son is not ready for it because he will be trampled on and people will see him as an easy target, okay? So I'm worried now. I'm thinking as a mother, what do I need to do? Do I need to start teaching him how to do certain things, which really and truly, as a mom, you shouldn't be teaching your son that. Okay, so it's really scary. Let me just round it up. It's really scary.
Rebecca, not to overburden you, but you've got a panel of black people who live the experience. And I know you do have a lot of black friends. We're all your friends. Do you understand what we are going through? Because I know your understanding of racism as a white person will be different from our understanding of racism.
Yeah, I think it'd be really arrogant for me to sit here with you three and not admit, and not admit that I probably am a dictionary definition of white privilege. My background, I've been very lucky. I've been raised in a middle class background. I've never wanted, there's been no struggle. And I think that's what, unfortunately, a lot of white people take from, the word white privilege is that immediate, well, we struggle too. And it's that's the problem. I think nobody wants to feel uncomfortable. And touching on what Jude said and Celia said, watching the video of what happened to George Floyd, it is uncomfortable and it should be. And that's where white people who don't understand racism need to start. They need to start at a place that makes them feel uncomfortable, because that's when they'll start to listen. And that's the problem, is that, Yori and I had a conversation about it. It's the first thing I did. I reached out to those friends that I am friends with to be like, look, I won't ever understand, no, but I'll do whatever I can to try to, and I'll stand with you, and I'll make sure that I raise my son to understand, because that's all I feel I can do. And I think that's what's so important at the moment, is I know people are trying to be supportive, but I think it's a time for them to shut up and listen, because they need to listen and they need to learn, and that boundary needs to be pushed so they are in a place where they're uncomfortable, because that's when they will stop and listen. And I've seen so many posts about positivity, and at the moment, and I think as nice as that is, it's not the time for that. It's the time for, no, you've got to see the raw deal. It's not time for peace and hope. We could have done that. That moment's past. It needs more than that. So I think for me at the moment, as how I feel about it, I feel that, like you said, I do have lots of friends from lots of different cultures, but I have a lot of black friends and friends that I would hate to ever have thought would have ever have been made to feel like that. And I know I would never have made them feel like that. And I know that I would never ever let my son make somebody feel like that. But that doesn't change that there are probably people in my life that have probably done that to people, because unfortunately that's the divide, isn't it? And that's what I think needs to be worked on. I just really think now is a time for for people to educate themselves, for them to understand that it is uncomfortable, and feeling uncomfortable is nothing in comparison to what Black people and people of colour have felt for, you know, since
300 years.
Yeah, like, you know, start at the beginning, Google racial injustice, that's start right there, and then work your way to here. Don't jump on the bandwagon of George Floyd and think, you know, I'll post a black square and that makes it okay. You know, being anti-racist isn't enough. You have to, you know, it's the time to be active. And I think that's how I feel and stand about it at the moment.
Rebecca, can I just come back to you, because you talk about education. I came here when I'd done my first degree. So I came here to do my master's.
Yeah.
Growing up, were you ever taught Black history? Because I hate to think it was only February that we mattered when we do Black History Month. So I would want to know what your curriculum was like.
No, I mean, I did, but then again, I don't know if that does that come under, because of, again, that puts me in that bracket of it. Was it because of the type of school I went to? I went to quite a good grammar school, but yeah, more so than I think others, because obviously I've also spoken to a lot of my white friends to be like, you know, what are you doing? How do you feel about what's going on at the moment? But yes, we did, but not enough. Nowhere near enough. You know, the touch things, you know, everybody touches on Martin Luther King because that's the thing, isn't it? But
that's the Bible.
Nowhere near enough in regards to, you know, what they should be looking at. And, you know, that should be like a whole term of stuff, really, shouldn't it? You know, the history and everything that's gone on. And that is the problem. It's a lack of education. But then it's because it doesn't affect them, isn't it? That's what I've said, you know, because it doesn't, I don't know whether it would even make them feel uncomfortable. And that's the issue, that boundary isn't pushed enough, you know, because it's, you know, not having to worry about. And I know that that's not something my son will have to worry about growing up, but I'm going to make sure he knows it's what other people have to worry about. And it's his job to stand with that and not go, well, it's fine, because it doesn't matter to me.
Okay. Celia, you know, people be talking about Black Lives Matters and people are going, all life matters. When people say that, how does that, what comes to your mind? How do you want to answer this?
Okay, so it's ignorance, okay? Because at the end of the day, right? Nobody just wakes up and starts to say, oh, Black Lives Matter, no. Because it's not, Black life is not the only life in the world, okay? They're black, brown, yellow, whatever color of people in the world. So at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, life, as long as you're breathing in air, you matter, okay? Animals matter, okay? The animal activists out there, okay? So, but when people are saying Black Lives Matter, there's a reason why they're saying it. They're not saying it because not because all lives don't matter. They're saying it because Black lives at the moment are in danger. Okay, do you understand? So when people say all lives matter, no, shut up, listen and reflect. Think about the reason why people are going around with placards and chanting Black Lives Matter. Because there's an issue. There's something going on with Black lives that's the reason why we're saying Black Lives Matter. So at the end of the day, I hate it when I hear people say all lives matter, because that's not the point. We're talking about Black lives at this point in time, so let us have our say, okay? So that's what I'm going to say for that. All lives matter, but Black lives matter because we're the one being killed. We're the ones being killed. We're the ones that the police are profiling, okay? We're the ones the police are profiling. It's a Black boy that cannot go out on the street and freely walk on the street without perhaps being pulled over by the police. It's a Black man that will be in a Range Rover or a Porsche or a nice car that a police officer will pull him over and say, what are you doing in that car? It's a Black person that will be sitting in a first class part of the train, and someone, not even a ticket inspector, another white person on the train will say, sorry, have you lost your way? No, I haven't lost my way. I bought my first class ticket, okay? It is a Black man that will be in a neighborhood and someone will say, well, you're not supposed to be in this neighborhood because of the way you look, because not a lot of people around here don't look like you. So just imagine that every day, and you have to go through that every day. At some point, you're going to burst, okay? You would reach your elastic limit and you will snap, no matter the consequences, okay? At the end of the day, I keep thinking to myself, imagine my son, okay? Because at the moment, his best friends, they're two white boys, okay? And I'm thinking to myself, so if they grow up like that and they're out one day and maybe they go to the cinema, right? And something happens, maybe they're in front of the cinema and something happens and the police comes. My son is going to be the one the police is going to put in handcuffs because of the color of his skin. Okay, not because he's a bad child or not, because you can train your child the way you want, but because of the color of his skin, he's already going to be profiled. So can you see how hard that is for us as parents? When Jude, you said something yesterday, when your son is leaving the house, you're telling him, okay, so when the police officer pulls you over, raise up your hand, okay? When the police officer pulls you over, just obey what they say.
Don't argue.
Do that. Don't argue. And even these days, you don't even need, you can raise up your hand and still don't argue and you will still get shot, okay? So
don't put your hands in your pockets. Don't put your hoodie on. Don't be outside with no shirt on. Check in with your people. It don't matter even if you're down the street. Don't be out too late. Don't touch anything you're not buying. Never leave the store without a receipt or a bag, even if it's just a pack of gum. Never make it look like there's an altercation between you and someone else. Never leave the house without your ID. Don't drive with a wife beater on. Don't drive with a do-rag on. Don't go out in public with neither. Don't ride with the music too loud. Don't stare at a Caucasian woman. If a cop stop you randomly and start questioning you, don't talk back, just compromise. If you ever get pulled over, hands on the dashboard, and ask, could you get out your license and registration?
Okay, so Rebecca, you think about your 11-month-old son, right? So imagine when he starts to get to the age of 10, 11, 12. Imagine that you have to now start saying to him, I don't know what his name is, but imagine you have to start saying to him, make sure when you see the police officer, raise up your hand. Imagine all those things you have to start telling him. There's enough things in the world already, okay? With all these different genders that are coming out, people are now saying you can be gender fluid, you can be this. So we already have to teach our children certain things. And then on top of all of that, we have to add this on top and tell them that the police that's meant to be protecting you might potentially be the ones to kill you. So it's really hard. It's fingering with my brain right now. And I'm saying to my husband, oh no, I'm going to put my son when he's in college or when he's in secondary school, I'm going to drive him to school and bring him back. But I can't do that. That's not realistic.
Physically do that.
Okay.
Jude,
Yeah.
Black Lives Matters. And in your own, there's a lot of peculiarity with you, because I think before this issue kind of spill over, we had Brexit. And I know your wife is Eastern European. So there must have been some level of apprehension already. And then we add this on. What's your take on this?
I'm going to come to that quickly, but I wanted to touch on something that Celia and Rebecca mentioned. Celia mentioned something about teaching your son at home to be good. I think we've gone past that. It doesn't even work anymore, whether you tell your son to be the best. A couple of days ago, I was telling my children to say, when someone hits you on your left cheek, don't turn the right cheek. Make sure you hit that person so hard, they never think about doing it again. I have to start teaching them ways to defend themselves.
Yeah.
Rebecca rightly mentioned about education and having those uncomfortable discussions. I think that's a good place to start, with the uncomfortable discussions. This is what I tell people. What are you comfortable discussing with your family when nobody is watching? Are you happy to use the N-word just freely when you're having those nice cup of tea? Do you say that N-word with your grandparents, or when your grandparents still stuck in the past times and they're using those words, or like words like that and the P word for the Pakistanis? Do you challenge them? Do you have those conversations and say, hey, or are you just afraid to say, hey, because they will then label you a liberal or something? With regards to the education, while it is very necessary that people get educated, but I don't think, as most people want it to be right now, I don't think we should be, especially Black people, should be the ones educating people about our lives. You need to read it. We live this life already. It's too hard for us then to start saying we want to teach other people how not to disrespect us. We shouldn't be the one leading that education. People should go. Rebecca pointed out, go start from Google. Don't just jump on the bandwagon. There's a lot of materials out there. So you need to go really look back. It dates back again to the days of slavery. The white masters, the enslavers. They not only were forced to give up these black people they called their property, they were paid for it.
Yeah.
Our past Prime Minister, David Cameron, his family benefited from this to the tune of £3 million worth today. His own wife, Samantha Cameron, the family benefited $3 million. Former Prime Minister Gladstone, the father, got millions. Equivalent of more than £1 billion they paid to those people just to relinquish a human. And the descendants of these masters, these slave masters, they're still alive today. This is what is translated into in America. These same people who started forming the police departments, they were the descendants of the Irish population who were used to whip the black people in line when they were out in the fields. Don't forget, the British took the Irish to America first to use. When they started revolting and they said, hang on, these people actually look like us. We can't keep using them as for servitude. And they started bringing black people in. Those Irish people became docile. They needed to get them a job to do. So they became the hand whip. So they were responsible for whipping and raping our daughters and our women and our mothers and our wives and killing our brothers and our fathers and our sons. When they ended slavery, yes, Britain had a hand in that to end slavery worldwide. When they ended slavery in America, where else did you want these people to go to? They had to metamorphose them into the police force. These are the descendants of those children. There's a great divide. Rebecca used that word. There's a great divide already. But we are starting where? We're starting to return. We need to check where the money links are coming from. But coming back to your question about the Black Lives Matters and the apprehension during Brexit, yes, I'll tell you, it is contradictory. I always joke with my wife. I said, you don't know what I go through living in this skin. It's almost like I'm becoming ashamed of being in my black color because I live this life every day. I'm getting judged for my color, getting judged for the way I walk, the way I do my things, the way I speak. So it's really, really harsh. And Brexit happened. I laughed and I said to her, I'm glad you're getting the heat. I said, you see, I always tell you, nowhere is home. You can be uprooted. We need to ask the 6 million dead Jews during the Holocaust. Therefore, they were Germans. Therefore, they were Polish. They killed all of them because they kept accepting that place as home. I said to my wife, now you're getting small part of the heat that we get always. Now they're saying, go back home. We don't need you here. So you can understand the dilemma we're in my own home. I had to go out and spend thousands of money to give my wife and the kids permanent residence so that they can't just chuck them out. Because I was really worried. I said, what if we travel away and we come back into the country? They will let me in because I'm British, but you guys are not British. That's it. You separate families, and this is happening all over. For me, like Celia rightly pointed out, Black Lives Matters should not be watered down with all life matters. All life does matter, but at the moment, it is Black Lives Matter because we're the ones getting killed out on the daily. We leave our doorsteps, we have a mark on our back. So it is Black Lives Matter.
Let me go to Rebecca because I don't want you to be lost in this conversation. And I give you kudos to come in because you and I had a conversation about this and you said, Yori, I want to talk about it. I want people to see. Now, what do you think race relations should be about? Because Black people are tired of talking. We now rely on our white.
That for me is my biggest issue. Is I don't like I said when the George.
Because Rebecca, hold on. We want our white friends to, because it seems people hear from white people, because this is me, Celia and Jude saying we're tired. 300 of these 300 years.
And that's my biggest issue is that I don't actually think. And this was my issue when I checked base with you because I just checked base with you, but actually I don't think it's your responsibility to educate us. I think, and that's the entire problem. It's like, just because that person's gone through a struggle, just because you're Black doesn't mean that you're obligated to tell your life's issues to me. I'm a big grown woman. Go and learn about it myself. Like there's so much that can be learned without having to pick apart the brains of the people that you're closest to. That's not how that works. And I think white people need to understand that to be part of the solution, they've got to engage in the labour of educating themselves and educating the other white people in their lives that, like Jude said, your grandparents, the people that may have those flippant comments, and it's not okay. And that's where it should start, that labour of actually, no, take action, pick that person up. Just that one little, that comment is a comment that shouldn't be okay. Read books. It's not difficult. Read books. I mean, there's a book that I've started reading. I mean, I'd like to think that I'm relatively, I like to think I am maybe more in touch than other people are because I make that effort, but I'm nowhere near any level of understanding of what it must be like. Like Cecilia said, I don't have those worries with my son. I have enough worries about what will happen, but I don't have to worry about that. I don't ever have to worry that any decision that he makes will go against him because of the colour of his skin. And I don't know, when Jude said about George Floyd calling out for his mum, like, he was calling out for every mum. That woke something in me. And it was like, you know what? If someone did that to my son, I'd let the world burn. I'd watch it burn.
Absolutely.
I'd set it alight.
I'll burn it down.
I'll be the one setting it alight and watching it burn. And that that in itself, it's not about the colour, that him calling for his mum, like, it's not okay. And I think it really is the responsibility of white people to talk to other white people about racism. It's not about going to your black friends and going, oh, tell me how this feels. It's about educating yourself, talking to your other white friends and telling them what they can do, tell them the books they can read. And when you get to a sense where you're frustrated and a sense of hopelessness and the problem's too underwhelming and you don't know what to do, then congratulations, because you've probably spent 5 seconds feeling like a black person feels a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's epic, because I always say I'm not sure there's any white person that wants to trade their position with me. No, I live a good life, trust me. But I don't see a white person that wants to trade positions with me. Now, this week we had John Bowiger, we had Anthony Joshua, we had Jackie. I know a lot of people came out and spoke up. But one thing that we all I wouldn't say we fail to realize, is we need to have more of a reform within the police department. Yeah. Because it seems that is the brunt of our problem. They don't, as a community, I think Celia and I were having a conversation with someone, and they said the black community is like an autistic child. No one hears us. They only see the action. They don't see us when we burn things down. They'll be like, what is wrong with these people? But they forget that there's some underlying issues we've been talking about. So, Jude, as someone that's been profiled by the police numerous times, do you think you want to sit on a table and discuss with the police what they need to do better?
I think the police have been having these discussions for over a long period of time. There have been so many. I think it was a Macpherson inquiry they set up one time.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of discussions to really get to the bottom of all of this. I think the police is an old institution. They're very reluctant to change. The police in itself is covertly and overtly racist. There's been reports about this, but being an old guard it's like the old boys institution. It took forever to get a woman to be their commissioner. It's going to take another 1 million years. Exactly.
Yeah, the police in itself have issues with class, let alone then starting with race.
There's all of that. There's class, so they'll just go, we got issues to deal with. We're not touching this. But you see, our problem with that is because the black community, they've not been able to push for that reform the way they should have pushed for the reform. They kind of water it down by themselves. I'm sorry to use one word here. They use this word they call BAME. I keep telling people I'm not BAME. I'm black. I'm not black, an ethnic minority. Our experiences are different. The Indians were never enslaved. The Pakistanis or the Bangladeshis were never enslaved. They had a different relationship to the British Empire. I had a different relationship, double. We were enslaved, we were colonized. So our experiences are different. But what happens is they allow the same people, they're trying to say, go reform, set up the whole committee for the reformation. You can't allow the police themselves.
Yeah.
It needs to be the people who are hurting that need to push for that reform for it to happen. Like I said, the police is an old boys institution, it's an old boy guard. You might have a different commissioner, you might have a woman today, but I'm telling you, she's fighting against a lot there to even make changes. So
I agree. I agree with the reform, but, and not that this is a good thing, but Yori and I had this discussion, is that sadly, white supremacy will only listen to white voices. And that's the problem. And that doesn't make it okay. That does not make it okay. But that is the ugly, unfortunate truth. That true support of this from white people comes from a place of honesty, and it's going to have to come from decentering us and centering black people to try and embrace what they're feeling and to help push for those changes. Because without that, that's why we're still here, and still that's why us four are in this discussion in 2020, is because that support hasn't been there, and it needs to be. And like this with the Black Lives Matter, like it embarrasses me as a white woman that's where the discussion starts. That matter, like, are we really like you're gonna actually start a dispute about someone's life mattering because you want to make sure you're involved in that? You know, decenter yourself. Like, it's not about you right now. It is not. And I think that is what white people need to understand. This isn't about them, and it's not about them in that your life isn't important anymore. It's about black people's lives being just as important, that they matter too. Not and I did. I said that's the first thing I said to Yuri is guilt and embarrassment is what I felt, because it baffles me that some people are still so uneducated on things like this. It's just
Celia, we're rounding up. What more do you think we need to do?
I think we need to start from the Houses of Parliament. We need to see more people of color. Okay, we need to see more black people. And when I say people of color, I'm just going to say black people. Okay, Asians are not black people. Okay, so I was watching an interview with Sophie Reed. She was interviewing this member of parliament. Yes. Okay. And he was saying, yes, we are very diverse in our thinking. No, we need to see it. Okay. You need to be able to walk into the House of Parliament and see someone that represents you because the person looks like you. Okay. We're not saying that, okay, yes, you're biased in your thinking, or we don't see your diverse thoughts in your head, because you're definitely not portraying that in your actions. Okay. So we need to see people that look like us. Okay. And there we can start to feel a bit more comfortable, a bit more confident that, okay, there's representation here. Okay. And also, the police force, as you all have already said, is very corrupt. Okay. I mean, I watched another video yesterday, because I be going on Instagram and be watching all these videos. I watched another video yesterday quickly where this guy from Eastern European called a black bus driver, called him a monkey. Right? He called him a monkey, and he actually thought, because the black guy told him to get lost. Now, they both work for Metro Bus, the same company. And the other guy called him a monkey and a donkey. Okay. And the black guy was like, well, you called me a monkey, you shouldn't call me that. And the guy was like, well, you told me to get lost so I can call. And he did not think that the police was going to do anything about it. And he actually said, well, I'm here, call the police, I'm waiting. And you know what? The police came, they handcuffed him, they arrested him, and I don't know where they took him to, but at least they arrested him. Okay. So we need to see things like that. Again, we need to see the police needs to be more cultural competence. Okay. They need to understand the black community. They need to understand the black culture. Okay. And all this unnecessary stop and search, it needs to stop. You cannot see a white boy and a black boy walking on the street, but you'll stop searching the black boy and the white boy is standing right next to him and you're not doing anything. It couldn't be more obvious than that. Okay, so they need to be aware of what they're doing. They need to be, because for all you know, the black boy, if he had any drugs, might have given it to the white boy, because the white boy is likely not to be searched. And that's it, you've missed the point there. Okay, so the police needs to be more cautious of what they do. They need to be more aware of what they're doing. Okay, and anyway, I'm just gonna rest.
Jude, I'll just give you 1 minute to just finish up, and then I'll let Rebecca talk, and then I'll round up.
I think we'll never have enough time to discuss this.
No.
So, like Rebecca and every one of you pointed out rightly, it's been coming up centuries. So we are happy, or we're thankful that we have this opportunity to even come up on TV to discuss it a bit and just give our own 2-bit opinion. But it's not an easy issue. It is traumatizing for us black people. And like I said earlier, it affects our mental health. And it's not just here. It's not just in the UK, America. It's happening all over the world to black people. And every time I watch this video, I do shed tears. I cry.
Yeah.
And I just start crying. I'm like, what have we done?
Yeah, the one in China is
something wrong with us. My friend asked me last week, he said, is something wrong in our history? Did we get something wrong somewhere? Do these people know something that we don't know that makes them treat us this way? I really don't know. Look at Diane Abbott in the parliament. She gets cursed every minute. She's the most cursed, abused woman in this country, not just the black MP. Look at Don Butler, same thing. This is happening all the time. Look at the current government. There's no single black cabinet member. And one thing Rebecca pointed out, white people should be talking a lot. And this is what we've been lacking the past couple of weeks. Trump went to hide in his bunker. Now it's gradually called the bunker boy. Now we have Prime Minister Boris Johnson not even saying anything. These people that Rebecca rightly pointed at, the white supremacists, they need to hear from their own people that they call their leaders. Once the leaders speak, they will then buckle down. Some videos went around and Facebook started taking it down. There's a white supremacist in America. He said, we're waiting for our President Trump to send us the secret code and we'll start killing every black man on the street.
Wow.
He said that, and there's the video. So you can tell that they actually look up to these guys. So these guys should be doubling down the whole thing. Trump should be saying, no time for violence, disregard violence. Boris should be saying it, but none of them are coming out. So he's even making things worse.
Okay. Now, I would say this because I know we're rounding up. For everyone that complains about Black Lives Matters, be lucky that you don't have a cause to fight for. Be lucky, count yourself lucky that you don't have to worry that your life matter. And we will end it here. I'm very grateful for Rebecca, Jude, for joining Celia and I to tackle this. It's never enough time for us to even talk about race relation or how people feel in this country being black at the moment. Well, I'll leave it to our panelists and our fans who have educated ourselves well enough, and we'll leave it at that. So thank you for coming onto the show, Rebecca. We really appreciate you, Jude. We appreciate you. Thank you, guys. And until next week, we would have Rebecca and Jude join us when this premiere on Saturday at 9:30, and then you can ask them questions. But for every life that is out there, especially Black life, you do matter, and we see you. Thank you. Thank you.